and welcome to Witchy Shit and Magalit with Cardimus and Rawia. Um,
Oh my god.
how y'all doing? How y'all doing? This week we're talking about what are we what are
Once
we
again,
talking about?
I have the topics and you do not.
I do not.
Um, so there's a couple things I want to talk about this time. So we'll actually have more
Mm-hmm.
than one topic, which is really fun and cool. And
Okay.
I love that for us. Um, the first topic I want to talk about is American exceptionalism, why it's wrong, and how quickly do you think people are going to figure that out? Um, and
Shit.
and then
Shit.
and the second topic I want to talk about is revisiting the male gaze versus the female gaze in media, why it's important, and why we think we and they are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, just revisiting that old nugget, but it's a good nugget and one that I feel needs a revisit.
Okay, cool. Cool. Sounds good. So like what media have you been consuming this week?
So this week, one, I've been working on a lot of projects. I don't know if you saw the collab that I posted this morning, but I'm so fucking proud of that one. Oh my
I'm
god.
going to it
Um,
right now.
and I also drew Papa Ray from Buddy Daddies,
I
so
saw
that was
that one.
super fun. Um, and I've been working on some other stuff, but what I've been watching is we started this anime called Doctor Stone.
Mm.
And it's great. It's really fun. It has some interesting aspects to it. So, like, the concept is humanity has been turned to stone through like some
Mm-hmm.
sort of sci-fi beam. And this kid wakes up in the future and like he's a super genius because of course he is. And he's like, I'm gonna save humanity, yay. And like he wakes his himbo friend up because he needs manpower.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "This dumbass is gonna help me, let's go." And
Yeah.
he does, and he's strong and picks things up and has, like, a little girlfriend that they also wake up and stuff like that. And then they wake up this other guy, and this other guy is like, "Hey, so I'm, like, super strong, and I think that, rich old guys ruined the world, so I am only gonna wake up young people." And I'm gonna systematically destroy every adult statue I see.
Well, that's not good.
So,
I mean,
obviously,
he's not wrong, and
like
he's also wrong.
right, yeah, no, it's I like, the boulder is conflicted about this because 'cause I'm like, on the one hand, you have some salient points, but on the other hand, you're going about this completely incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're making a lot of assumptions about a lot of the people that are there
Mm-hmm.
in that you're literally destroying every single adult. So,
Yep.
um, not all adults are part of the problem. So doing kind of a broad strokes, let's kill everyone thing is not good. And then Senku, the main character, who like his hair kind of looks like a chive stalk, which is adorable and weird. I wanna draw him because he also gets, like,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely insane a lot, and you know how I love crazy faces. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Is the character unhinged? I like them." So, but he uses science, and he uses, like, actual science. Like, he tells you how to make acid and shit like that. And there's, like,
Hmm.
a disclaimer at the end of the show that's like, "Hey, so a lot of the stuff we talk about is real, and we say that you really shouldn't do it because it's dangerous and or illegal in where you live, and maybe just don't, please."
Maybe don't.
Maybe don't learn how to make gunpowder because just
You could
don't.
blow yourself up
You
making
could
it.
you could blow up your whole neighborhood. Please don't make salicylic acid for no reason. Thank you. So, um but like he uses science and like uses his knowledge of science to kind of recreate civilization essentially.
Mhm.
And obviously he and the strong guy are against each other. So there's like the um he calls his group like the Society of Science, and he calls the other one like the Society of Might, basically. So he's like, might
Mhm.
makes right. I'm strong. I can only like wake up the strong people and have an army of my own. So he's like the big strong guy who wants to destroy all adults is basically creating an army to go after Senku and his um like you find out some stuff about like the people of this village that it's wild and it's interesting and like I really like the show so far and like I do recommend it 100% to anybody who's interested
What's it
in
called
something.
again?
It's called Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone. All right, cool.
Yeah, like the first thing he figures out how to make is soap because he's like, I'm tired of being filthy. um, but yeah, no, it's really good. I think you'd like it. It's a shonen, so it's like a little over the
Wait,
top.
I've seen ads for that.
You probably have because season 3
It's
came
been
out last.
on.
It's on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see because I'm like, wait, I can see that in my head. There it is, Dr. Stone.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's got 3 seasons and a movie out already, so there's plenty of content.
I'm putting
But
it under my recommend list from
yeah,
you.
we're like most of the way through season 1 and we started on like Wednesday. So it's it's been a household favorite
Mm.
uh quickly. Um but beyond that, we watched we also watched My New Boss is Goofy as well. I made Kurt watch that with me.
Which
He
I
liked it.
love.
And watching it the second time, I got to see some things that, like, I didn't really catch the first time,
Like
because like,
what?
you know what's gonna happen and going back and forth. Just, like, the nuance of the facial expressions and stuff like that, that I just didn't pick up on as to, like, where their mental states were at first. Um,
Mhm.
it's such a cute show. Like, that
It
one's so good.
is.
I love it so much. But Buddy Daddies,
Buddy Daddies.
Buddy Daddies.
Ugh, so fucking
Wait,
cute.
before we get into that though, what did you well, I know you read all 8 books of Heaven Official's Blessing. So why don't you tell me about it?
Oh, oh my God. I'm obsessed. I'm still obsessed. I'm gonna be obsessed for a while. I'm gonna revisit the Friends. I'm gonna have to do a second reread because on my first read, I was just like, I wanted to know what's gonna happen next. So I need to go back and read it again. Book 7 was one long fight sequence. Like, book 7 was just fucking action. Um, a lot of people said book 6 made them cry, but for me, book 4 fucked me up. Book 4 fucked me up. By the time I got to book 6, I was numb. I was just, they call book 6 book pain, but I was just numb. 7 and 8, great. For anyone who's like, I don't know if I want to commit to a series that's 8 books long, it is worth it. It reads so fast. It is amazing. And culturally, like I want to talk about real quick about what this author is writing in the culture that she's writing in
Mhm,
is they are attacking um LGBTQ plus people in China be and shutting down their services and things like that because they're blaming that and gay and queer media for the decline in birth rates instead of the same shit that's happening over here, which is,
Who can
Ain't
afford a
nobody
child right
want.
now?
Yeah, nobody can afford a child. They can barely afford themselves.
Right?
So they barely have time for themselves. Who's going to raise a child? Like both parents have to work. Like they can't decide to work part-time or anything like that. So like what the fuck? But China's blaming queerness. I want to be specific. China's government is blaming queerness for that. And that's why we're not getting a lot of queer media that we could be getting. They're also like cracking down on receiving Korean and Japanese media because of that as well. Because they're like, soft boys. Like, no, we don't want soft boys. And I'm like, but we love soft boys. We
Mhm.
love soft boys. So yeah, so that's the climate in which this is being produced. And I will say that if you are like, I don't know if I want to read this, it has the saddest it has a beautiful, satisfying ending. It's not explicit, although you know what they mean, and it makes you blush. It makes you blush. I love the story. I love the characters. Hua Chung is my favorite. Shielian, which I finally know how to pronounce his fucking name. Shielian is just so identifiable to me. There were moments I don't. I'll just give this one moment away. Hua Chung, yeah, he was doing some kind of like ghost trial, like the heavenly people do a heavenly tribulation, and he was doing some kind of ghost trial to become a supreme. And while he was like trapped under this mountain, he built like a cave with all these statues of Shailin. Like he just started carving statues of the man that he loves. And in a side story, one of the statues gets animated and is running through the streets of heaven half naked. So he builds a statue of himself to satiate that statue so that he stops running around horny and naked.
Yeah, he would do that.
And now these statues are basically joined together for all eternity.
Oh,
Um
good for them.
right? Right? It's so good. It's so well written. So that's what I was doing with myself. I read that. I watched I started watching Heaven Officials Blessings again just to catch stuff. And I realized I was so yeah, and another thing in the book. People are like, oh, Shailene is just a damsel. Shailene is a badass. Shailene, like I think some people reading it or some people creating some media around it, like they love the images of Hua Chang like basically sticking up for Shailene. But like you forget this bitch, he ascended as a martial god the first time. Like a martial god, like then a plague god and then a scrap god. So like he ascended so many times. Poor baby.
Shelian's been through it.
He's been
Through
through he's been
it.
through it. Like the misfortune, like all this other shit. So the only person who's been through it, I think, more than him is my baby Windmaster. Like when you get some background on Windmaster, you're like, oh my god, Windmaster, what the fuck? Windmaster actually made me cry more than Shielin. Like,
Really?
yeah, Windmaster story.
Okay.
Windmaster story fucked me up. Like, it was rough. It got rough there. It got rough there. But Shailin, like his story is pretty rough too. But you also get to see how Hua Chang was with him the entire time and he didn't know it was him. Like, oh, not the entire time. I mean, they were separated for 800 years. So, and your boy was doing some shit. He was like pumping iron. He was like, when I find you, Guga,
Yeah. When I find you, Guga, I'm tearing that ass up.
There was one thing where he was like, I'm not gonna. He's like, I would never defile my God. And Shailene is like, bro,
Please
you
do.
defile me almost every other night.
I request a regular deposit, thank you.
It's so good. So I highly recommend reading it. I'm moving on right now to the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. So I started reading that one. I'm only a few pages in, but I think I'm gonna watch the Untamed, this first season or whatever they have of the Untamed, before I finish reading the Grandmaster of Divine Cultivation, just so I could get some like familiarity with the characters and stuff like that a little bit
Mhm.
more. Because sometimes when I watch something and then I read it, like it's easier for my brain to digest. I don't get mad at like whatever the translation is gonna be in the show. I'll just be like, "Ooh, I get to know all this extra bonus shit because I'm reading the book." So
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna
that's why
read that
I
one.
like watching the show and then reading the book or the comic and then coming back to the show
Hmm.
again, because for me, if you watch the show and then you read the comic, you can hear the characters and the voices
Yes,
of the show.
exactly.
And also, if you watch the show or the movie first, you're less likely to be disappointed by the things that they've changed from the original source
Hmm.
material. You can just enjoy it for what it is, and then you really enjoy the source material. Then when you come back to it, you're like, "Oh, okay, I can see all the differences now," you know?
Oh, they did. I will say they did an excellent job with season one and season two of Heaven Official's Blessings, translating it or making the Donwa from it, because it is spot the fuck on. It is spot. They did such a good job. I didn't feel like they left anything out. I don't feel like they added anything extra in. So it's really well done. And also, I will say, as I always say, the voice actor for Hua Chang, James Cheek, makes me feel things. His voice and reading Shaylian's, like reading Hua Chang's reading it and hearing his voice in my head, like I would be at the kitchen table just cheesing, just like smiling my ass off so much my face hurts. And they're like, "Oh, you're reading again." It's to the point where I'm like, let me hide in my room when I read this shit because it's gonna be embarrassing. Because Hua Chung looked at Shaylee and like was like, "Hey, hey, Gaga," and I'm just like,
You're like, "Hey, Guga, indeed."
I'm like, it's a bit much for me. It's a bit much for me. So yeah, so I caught up on all the things I'm watching. Apothecary Diaries, highly recommend. I caught up on Cherry Magic, highly recommend. I caught up on Nerdcore this morning. Tiger's Den. These are all what are they
Mama.
called? Manhwa. These are all
Yeah.
manhwa. And ooh, Nerdcore.
Oh, no, what happened?
No, this is not a sad face.
Oh, did Blondie finally catch up to what was going on?
Oh, 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 God. Whew, whew. Ah. I caught up with what's it called? Sign of Affection. Although they got the main couple together pretty early in the show, and now they're going on, I guess, to the side couples. And I'm
Oh,
kind
okay.
of like, mm, I don't, I mean, it's okay, it's fine. I wanna, I think I got,
You're like, "Go back. Just go back. I wanna see more of them.
I want to see more of
Go
them.
back."
And I kind of, and I don't say this often, I guess. I don't think I've ever said this, but reading Heaven Official's Blessing, like you want to talk about a slow burn. That shit was a slow burn. They still managed to
Mhm.
satisfy us with certain things, but Shaylee is fucking clueless. Like, just such a sweetheart, fucking clueless. So you want to talk about a slow burn? That shit was a slow burn. And I found with Signs of Affection, I kind of like miss that will they won't they?
Mhm. The tension buildup.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I'm kind of interested to see where the story goes. I'm also okay with ending the story like right there after episode 6. I wonder what they're gonna do for the next 6 episodes. Let's see what else. And that's it. That's about it. I listened to Sasaki and Miyano in Nihongo while I was going to sleep, so I could keep immersing myself in Japanese language. And also I've been doing my Duolingo. I've been doing really good with my Japanese. Completely been ignoring my Klingon, but the Japanese I've been like on top of. So
What's
I think that's
hilarious is, like I think I watched too much anime because the instant you said you were watching it in Nihongo, that only like, it didn't strike me that you weren't speaking English. I was just like, "Mm, yeah, that makes sense." Ah, yes,
because that's how much
immersion
anime you watch.
the immersion message of just watching way too much anime all the time and
Mhm.
listening to nothing but Japanese music all the time.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I have a
Mhm.
problem.
Picking it up,
No, I
picking it
don't.
up.
It's not a
You do
problem.
not. I love
It's a
it.
it's an accessory. It's a feature. So Buddy Daddies.
Buddy
Wonderful, love
daddies.
it. So something that I remembered that my friend told me when we first started watching it, apparently when it was airing, the internet hated Miri. They thought Miri was too much. They thought she was annoying, and I'm like, "She
How could
acts
you?
like a
She's adorable.
child." Like,
Yeah.
she literally acts like a child, and I think that they
They
were
did a
having
good job
trouble
on her.
because most anime children don't act like children. Like, think about it,
Uh-oh.
because like, Anya kind of acts like an adult in the way that she does things. She has some childish tendencies, but because of her trauma, she doesn't really act like a kid.
Mhm.
So, I think Miri's the first, like, kid I've seen actually act like a kid in a
Mhm.
show before. It was really refreshing. Like, yes, she was loud and boisterous and sometimes annoying, but that's because she was accurate.
Mhm.
I thought that was a
She
great
was a
feature.
fucking toddler. Like,
Right. Like, how do you expect a four-year-old to act? Like that. That's how I expect a four-year-old to act.
mhm. I will
Oh.
say the daycare worker had like the largest tits ever.
But they were commiserate to her size. She
They
was
were. You're
actually
right.
proportional as, like, a slightly chubby, big titty,
Mhm.
clumsy, like, I loved her. I loved her as a character. She was great.
She's great. She was great. I love how she got scary on the piano.
I know. Everybody's like, "Teacher's scary."
Mhm.
That was so good. And I love how mom-coded Kazuki is. Like, when
Yes.
he's, like, forced to clean up after them all the time.
Clean up after them, cook. How much he was like, we're gonna win. And
Yeah.
it's like it wasn't even a competition, but he's like, "We're gonna win. We're gonna win at this running thing. We're gonna have the best lunch."
They did have the best lunch, though. Did you see all those moms were like,
Ah,
"Yeah, sure, we'll share.
mhm,
Get in here."
mhm, mhm. And I love the part where they were like, "Yeah, Papa Ray is super cute in this dangerous kind of way, like a hitman kind of way," and they were like, like, that was great. Oh, I loved the show. I'm sad people were like Miri was annoying because Miri was really well played. Um, I loved the dynamic. I loved the found family. Uh, and yeah, it was great. And I also loved how when you go to the future, like look at them, like when you
Mhm.
go see them in the future, specifically how adorable that was, but like pinpointing and highlighting how Papa Ray's character didn't like change like drastically. Like he
Yeah.
didn't.
He was a little softer, but he was still, like, stoic because 'cause he'd been trained his whole life to not show emotions, so, like, if he was
Mhm.
as boisterous as Kazuki, that wouldn't make any sense
No.
because they're different people, like, they've always been different people, so
Mhm.
it wouldn't have made sense for Ray to all of a sudden be, like, super hype, you know? So having him
Mhm.
still be kind of quiet and awkward it worked really well. And I also like how he found a way to get away from his dad that didn't involve killing him,
Yeah.
which was like, because I feel like if he had killed him, it would have hurt
Become a John
him
Wick situation.
more. Yeah, it would have hurt him more essentially.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
I love how Kazuki was like, and we're splitting the the house chores, and we're doing this and we're doing that, and when they both decided that they wanted to have this family together, and how they saw that they could change and how change is uncomfortable and dangerous, but they were willing to do it because they both fell in love with this little girl who totally deserves all the love, all the protection, all the
yeah.
sweetness. So I really enjoyed that show, and it was great to watch that show after watching Jujutsu Kaisen
And Tokyo
and
Revengers
Tokyo Revengers
and Utena.
and Lieutenant.
Basically, we had trauma piled on trauma for 3 shows. We needed a breather. We needed a trauma breather.
We needed a palate cleanser.
Um, so now we're back to the trauma next week.
What are we
Wait,
watching?
so next on the list is not an anime, it's the Wheel of Time series.
Okay, cool. I have to find the first season of that because I lost the flash drive with the first season of it.
Well, let then if you want, like, look for that, and if you can't find it by Tuesday, we'll just skip and go to the next one and then come back to it after,
Okay, cool.
just to give you time so you don't have to feel pressured about it.
Okay, cool. Because I have season two. I just don't have season one. Or does Amazon allow watch party? Like, can you like share that on your Zoom?
I don't know, we can try it. I'm
Yeah, let's
certainly
try it
not
and
against
see.
trying it. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and
because
I'm excited to watch season one over again because, like,
did you see season 1 already?
oh yeah, I saw season one like months and months ago. Yeah, Rylan was like, "You have to watch this."
Oh.
Like months and months and months ago, Rylan was like, "You have to watch this," and I was like, "Okay." And then I didn't watch it for a little while. And then Rylan was like, "Have you watched it?" Not trying to pressure you, but have you watched it? So I have not watched season two, and it's been a while since I watched season one. So I do want to watch it over again. So I will look for my flash drive so I can see where it is, so I can see it. Um, that one's gonna be good to watch. Supposedly it's different from the book. They made it more palatable from the book. I keep saying, "Oh, I'm going to read the book," and everyone, when I mention it online, is like, "No, don't read the book." They're like, "No, don't read the book."
Like, honestly, the book isn't bad, though. Like, I
Mhm.
read I read all the books.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
well, I read, like, 13 of the books when I was in college.
Jesus, wait, what?
Yeah.
13? How many books are there? You said you
There's
read
no,
13?
there's, like, 15.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow. I will say that the show seemed to center more of the, I don't know what the book does, but the show seems to center the women.
the book does as well, except for Rand, who I fucking hate. Like, basically, the entire time that you're doing it, you're gonna be like, "I hate Rand." in the show, in the book, Rand is the
Yeah, in the
worst.
show, I
The
hated Rand.
like, Protag Kun is the most Mary Sue boring ass bitch I've ever seen, and all of the women around him are badass, and I'm like,
Mm,
"Why are y'all in love with him? Get with each other instead." You know?
yeah, yeah.
The whole time. Just just the
Kinda
whole
like
time.
your boy in Legend of Korra, where the two girl Korra and the other one, Asami, were like, "Oh my god, we're in this relationship with him," and da 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 da, and then they just end up together, which is like great. Like it was everybody was happy about that except for people who weren't.
Uh, yeah, right?
The angry straights
Oh my
were
gosh.
like not here for it.
Oh my god.
They were very mad about it. The angry straights were very mad about it.
I'm gonna rearrange our queue a bit because I realized that we have another situation where it's like trauma, 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 and I wanna I I wanna give us a break though, so I'm gonna move, I th 3 trauma in a row is enough, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna move this around. So, let's do this, and then
What,
let's
like,
do
seriously, what non-trauma shit do we have on the list?
the non-trauma shit we have is, Hypnosis Mike, I Fell in Love with a Villainess, My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999, Buddy Daddies, which we've watched, so I can cross that one out. And that's it. The rest of the list is all trauma, but because the list is not long, we have enough in between to go with it. So, basically, the next one's Wheel of Time, Violet Evergarden, and Fushigi Yugi. I will say Fushigi Yugi does have some funny parts, but, like, most of it's trauma.
Okay.
It's a 90s shoujo. That should tell you everything you need to know.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. And then Paprika and Perfect Blue, because it's the same creator for both of those.
Paprika is gonna be a little wild. I love Paprika. Perfect Blue, I've tried to get through Perfect Blue, like, so many times, and it's just been like, "Ah," and
Yeah, it's very heavy trauma. Like, I watched it once when I was younger, and I feel like I must have blocked a good portion of the movie
mhm,
out, because when I was talking to somebody about it and they were like, "Oh, yeah, no, I couldn't do that one because of the rape scene," and I was like, "There was a rape scene in Perfect Blue?" Because my brain literally erased a good
mhm,
portion of the movie, and I was like, oh, okay. I I know I watched it. I watched the movie 100%. I do not remember that being a part of it, and that's the same thing with, like, a bunch of these other shows that I watched where, like, I just erased, like, huge sections, just swaths of the show. That's why, like, when we're watching Utena, I'm like, "I don't remember this part," and it's
oh
because
my god.
my teen brain apparently knew how to protect me from shit.
Ugh,
It was like,
oh my
"Yeah, you don't
god.
need to retain this portion. This portion is not for you to keep.
Let's not. Let it
You're
go.
just gonna throw that out and
Mhm,
figure that out." And then adult me's like, "What the fuck was I watching as a 16-year-old? How much of this did I internalize?" Like, I literally talked to one of my friends about that because we were talking about how much trauma there is in, like, 90s anime, basically. We were talking about Shigeyugi and Utena and, like, a bunch of other stuff. Because she was like, I dropped something, I'll find it later. And she was like, "Yeah, I've decided to just not watch problematic media anymore. I'm over it. So I'm looking for stuff that, it can be dark, but I don't want it to be, like, specifically problematic if I can help it." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fair." And she's like, "So all of these trying to rewatch things from the past is is not working out very well." And I'm
mm,
like, "Yeah, I can see that." Because, like,
mhm,
basically, just a lot of the shit in the 90s and the early 2000s had just, like, wild-ish, just, like, rape and incest all over the place, and you're, like, sitting here going, I watched this when I was 14.
Yep.
What did this train my brain to think was okay? Um, like, the Fushigi Yugi has one of the gaslightingest adults I've ever seen in my life, and I'm like, "How much of this did I internalize in thinking that a grown man acting like this towards a kid is okay as a kid?"
Mhm.
Thinking, "Yeah, adults are supposed to be weird and manipulative." They're not, by the way.
No. No, they are not.
So if
They are
anybody
not supposed to be.
of a younger set hears this, they're not. Not all adults are monsters. So keep that in mind. It's not normal if an adult is being like that. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so that's our list so far. We also have things like Assassination Classroom, Solo Leveling. Why is Assassination Classroom in here twice? We don't need to watch it
We
twice.
really need to watch it then.
Apparently. You let's see, if we can't find we might move that one up the list then, because that one's done, right? Is that
I
one
think
finished?
so. I think that one's done. I don't know if the whole series is complete according to the manga,
Mm.
but I think the seasons at least are complete. I don't know how many seasons there are. I don't want to like. Is that a new episode of?
What are you
Let me
looking at?
focus. Let me focus. I was looking for assassination classroom.
Sure you were. What did you find?
I found like another episode of what's it called? Uh I think there's another episode of God, my brain. Signs of Affection.
Oh, okay. Yeah, leave it.
Yeah, so there's a season 1. It's 22 episodes long. I don't think they did 24. And there's a season 2, which is 25 episodes long. And there's an episode called Graduation, and then there's an episode called Future Time. So I'm guessing that the series must be complete.
Okay, cool.
Hmm.
I like it when a series is complete. It makes it
Hmm.
easier to watch.
You mentioned Tokyo Avenger, and now I'm just stuck with that vision of that kid being mutilated by Truckun. And
That's the
how
last thing
it's
we
doing
saw.
this
The
sad.
last thing we saw was Kisaki being completely annihilated by a fucking delivery truck, and deserved, well deserved.
Oh, so satisfying. I don't even feel bad about finding it sad. Like I don't even feel bad for this kid getting fucked up by this truck. It was just like, there you go, there you go, there you go.
Mhm.
Shouldn't have been trying to like have other people like run over or deal with exploding trucks. Like the the poetry of how they decided to off him bars. It was it was great. It was perfect. So, what are we talking about this week? The first topic? Which one do you want to talk about first?
Mm. They're both really good topics. This is gonna take us a while. Um, let's start with American exceptionalism and why it's a lie and how long you think it's going to take for that lie to collapse eventually, because I feel like we're getting there. I feel like
I
we're
feel like we're
getting
already there.
well, I mean, obviously it's collapsed, but I think there are some people who are still like, "Yeah, America's the best," but I feel like
Mhm.
that's gonna go away real quick with the quickness. It's gonna disappear. And what's oh god, no, what drove me nuts was, my friend Stephanie sent me some screenshots of what you have to do to get a visa to the US, and the thing that caught me about it I'm gonna open this up from the chat that I was having with her. Um, me see. One of the questions that they send, um, is about genocide.
Wait, what?
Literally. Yeah, they say, have uh, one of the questions is, "Have you ever ordered, incited, committed, assisted, or otherwise participated in genocide?"
Well,
And it's like, that's a bit hypocritical, isn't it?
it is.
Like, what the hell? And and her answer was, "No, but you guys did."
Yeah, yeah. Base. Base. Basically.
Yeah, and one of the other ones was, "Have you ever renounced United States citizenship for the purpose of avoiding taxation?" Like, these questions. And she said she was talking to her friend from Iran, and he said in his form, it's more extensive, there's more questions, and they even ask if you as a person have ever exploded someone, if you've ever blown someone up, and
Wow.
I'm like, "That
Wow.
that's that's a lot," and I basically told her, I'm like, "Yeah, so, basically, the US has, as a policy, things to keep out non-white immigrants. That's one of the things that they do. Yay, USA."
But not those
It's
questions specifically. I want to be real clear. Not those questions specifically. The first one about taxes is about money.
Mhm.
Um, the second one is just about like terrorism, which they don't count which I find weird, and because one, that's a really racist question,
It's so
and two,
racist.
it's so racist, and two, they won't define our own terrorism acts as terrorism in other countries, or what happens with like mass shootings in here, which happen a lot, and that's terrorism. So, and the tax question, that's just straight up money. It's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Yep. It sure is. Um, but so that just kind of reminded me, I'm like, those questions and most of the questions on there are like, "Do you launder money? Do you plan to launder money?" Things like that. I'm like, those questions are assuming a lot about the people who want to come here, but it also assumes that the people here are not
Doing
participating in those
those.
activities.
Yeah.
And that led me to just remember the fact that, like, for the longest time and the other thing that, like, I remember was, like, how brainwashed we were as children because of the way that the schools ran and stuff like that. Because I remember growing up in Texas, a lot of the history that we learned about Texas specifically was about how cool Texas was when fighting Mexico, and I was just like, that was disingenuous, and I remember that, like, that isn't the only time that that was, like, learning about the Vietnam War, it was about how cool we were going to protect democracy or whatever, and I'm like,
And just killing a bunch of people.
that's definitely not what that was about either.
No.
And,
No.
like,
Oh,
just
did y'all get
all
the
of
slavery thing? That slavery was about states' rights?
I actually don't remember what they taught us about that.
Did they even teach y'all about slavery?
They probably didn't, now that I'm thinking about it. We learned about we learned about colonizing, but in, like, a positive light.
Manifest destiny.
Yeah, we learned about because I remember when I lived in Oklahoma, we had, like, books about the land grabs in, like, a fun game type of way that, like, "Hey, the settlers came in and took all this land and made it farmland, yay, farmland." And looking back, I'm like, "Wow, that's deeply gross."
Yeah. They're all
That's
like,
really
look at
super
how
gross.
brave they were.
Yeah. So,
Taming
like
the wilderness, the wilderness, the wildness. They tamed it, and they had to look at all the perils they had to deal with. Like, I remember in school, like the first school I went to, not high school, but the elementary school I went to, treated indigenous peoples as if they were part of the landscape. So
Mm,
like cutting them down was like cutting down a fucking tree. Like they
wow.
were not humanized at all in the history books. And how could they be
Yeah.
if this country is supposed to be so great and exceptional? And they who American accept let me okay, so for those who don't know, let's give them the definition of American exceptionalism,
Okay.
which is the idea that the United States is unique and morally superior country is based on the ideas that America's national identity is rooted in its founding principles, such as limited government, individual rights, and checks and balances. Lies! Lies! They're all lies. We could like break down limited government, individual rights, and checks and balances, and we could explain how all of those are lies, and it would take hours in order for us to do.
Yeah.
Hours.
Hours, hours. So, like, obviously they're lies. Obviously, we've been lied to since a very young age. And the other thing that I noticed that we've been lied to about is, and this is specifically, I think, for our generation and a little bit older than us, is I remember specifically being like told essentially that Israel was a safe, happy place, like, they were our friends, so you
Yeah,
wanted to, like, be friends with them, and looking back, I'm like, like, how many other things were lies? This is all of them. Every single thing that I was told as a child was a lie, basically. This is what I've discovered, and learning is good, basically, learning is good, so never take anything at face value, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, "Holy crap. This lie hole is extremely deep."
it's extreme. It's super deep. It is a bottomless cavern. It is it is fisted deep. There when I went to high school, I went to a this is gonna sound really weird to say, but I think I've said it before on this channel. A traditionally segregated all black girl only Catholic high school. And so the history lessons I got were kind of mixed because they had to teach us things to pass the class. So they had to teach us things they had to teach us the lies,
Yeah.
but they also gave us critical thinking skills to be like, that's a lie. But in my history class, my teacher, Mr. Parks, that man is amazing. He passed on. Rest in peace, Mr. Parks. Rest in power. Um, I would be in his class and he would say blah 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 blah, and I was like, "Well, I read this book and it says da 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 da," and he was like, "McAlpin, out of my class right now." He would kick me. He would kick me out of his class like on a fucking regular. And I would be sitting next to the door trying to take notes, and
Uh-huh.
he would open the door and be like, "McAlpin, back down the hallway," because that was a thing. Like I couldn't even sit near the door and take the notes. Like I just had to read the text. Yeah, no, he was like, "You're out of my class. You're out of my class. You think you know better? Da 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 da. Go sit over there." But like, so I would just read the book and then take my notes from there. I never had a problem passing his class. And then when I graduated, he gave me Howard Zinn's Lies My Teacher Told Me.
Mhm.
And he said, there were a lot of things you were right about, but I needed to teach you to pass the test in order to survive in society.
Mhm. Oh,
But
yeah, that
here's
makes
this
sense.
book. Mm-hmm.
That's really nice of him. He
Mm-hmm.
was a real one.
Yeah, yeah, no, he was fucking rad as a teacher. Like that man was the shit. Like he kicked me out of his class so many times. So many times I was in the hallway above the church, just kicked out of his class. Like, whoa. Um, so yeah, he was great. That book wrecked me. And it furthered my understanding of what was happening in this country. I'm gonna read. Another book, I don't know when I'm gonna read it. It's on my to read list. It stays at the top of my to read list, but I also know that it's kind of traumatic, which talks about history as well. It's called Almanac of the Dead. But I'm going off on a tangent. But
Mhm.
we were not only were we taught, but there was these images that were put forth in our media that other people saw, and they saw these stories of like rags to riches or people triumphing and all this other stuff. And they didn't question that all the people who were triumphing in all of this media that they were looking at was mostly cis het white people and
Mhm.
mostly men. And that became glorified. But because you identify with the protagonist, you think, oh, I'm my own like you are the protagonist of your own story. So like there was this message that if you come here, you will succeed and achieve. And if you can't succeed and achieve, it's because you're like lazy or deviant in some kind of way.
Mhm.
Um, so I think there's one side of American exceptionalism where people are like, "Oh my God, we love the United States. They're so strong and they're so right and they have this with their government." And it's like it's all lies that they told us and they told other people.
Yeah, so
Um,
basically because they keep saying it's a meritocracy and, like, if you work hard, you can achieve anything you want here, that makes you feel if you can't achieve the American dream, that
mhm,
you're less than and not worthy, and you've done something wrong
yeah,
to not be able to get to the mountain, as it were, but that's that could not be further from the truth in the way that it actually functions.
yeah. There was someone who came over. I was in a Lyft ride with someone who had come over, and they were like, I believed one thing when I came over to this country, and now I just want to go back because y'all have it harder. Like, he's like, it looks pretty, but it's rotten. And I forget
Yeah,
where he was from. He was kind of like, I'd rather it be up front than be hidden and masked. And
that makes
yeah,
sense.
hmm hmm
I would also rather be upfront. I think that the lying makes it worse somehow.
it does. Like, I've experienced that in particular as a black person moving from the South to one of the coastal areas. Because I was told this message that, like, basically racism doesn't exist in the North or outside of
And
the
that's a
South on
lie.
the coast. That's a total lie. The type of racism that was happening was covert instead of overt, but it still fucked my shit up. It still fucked me up. It's just people were not admitting that they were like racist. Like when I was home in the South, like there was a next door neighbor and she was hella racist and so was her husband. But if we were caught out in the rain, they would always be like, "Come and get in the house. Come and get in this house
Mhm.
because it's rain outside. Y'all are two children." Like, but that didn't. But they were still racist. They like that didn't change the fact they were racist. And
Yeah.
they're and we would be sitting at the table doing homework, and her daughter would come in and she would say, "Look at these black children, these little color kids can do their work and they speak all proper and shit. Like, why can't you do that? They black. They can do it." Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But like up here it's like, "Oh, you speak so well. You're
Mm,
so it's still
it's the same
it's
thing.
still that shit. It's the same thing. Or I wouldn't get promoted for jobs where I was writing handbooks for, and people who I was training were being promoted over me. And I was being told, "Oh,
Mm,
you're too valuable to this position." But I was training people who were advancing beyond me. And the only difference for the most part was that I'm fat and that I'm black.
and both of those are in the office, you know,
Mhm.
challenges because of how corporate corporate corporates.
Because corporate.
Because corporate.
Because corporate. Um the idea that we have. that our government doesn't interfere with our lives is a joke. They absolutely interfere with our lives. That's why it's not safe and continuing to get less safe for people who are queer and people who are um, trans, people who are like have a woman's body. Like, it's not safe. So many laws are made against our body. If I have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then I need a living fucking wage and health care at the least. It's all a lie. What else is on that fucking list? What else is on that list? Um, that we have individual rights. Oh yeah, they're like, tell us if you can get it, you can get it, but most of us can't get it because it's not equal.
You
It's
have
not
individual
equitable.
rights, basically, if you are white, straight,
Mhm.
Christian,
Sis.
you know, the list goes on. Like, basically, there is a tiered system of how many rights you get based on how many boxes you can check.
Yeah,
That's why,
it's
like,
a
I
it's an
I
unspoken caste system.
yeah, so, like, if you are a gay white man, you're going to have more rights than a queer, trans, femme, black person.
Yeah.
Like, that's how that works, um, and it sucks so bad, and that's just the world that we live in, and it's so funny because like, you keep talking to these people from other countries and getting into the fact that it's like, yeah, living here is awful. Living here is so
They
awful.
are literally like, "Are you okay?" Sometimes, like,
Seriously.
"How are y'all having babies in this country?
Right.
It's so expensive.
Like,
It's so expensive."
this one influencer was talking about how he's like, "Yeah, so everybody's been asking me why in Korean dramas people keep going to the hospital when they have a cold, and it's because you can go to the hospital when you have a cold so that they take care of you and you get better faster. You don't You don't have to stay at home and be sick by yourself. You can go to the hospital when you have a cold, and it won't cost you thousands of dollars." And literally the only comment I could leave was cries in American.
It's true. It's true. Oh my god, someone was telling me how they went to another country and they broke a bone and they went to the hospital and it was a private hospital and it was nice and it was pretty inside and they got this treatment and they got their payments and they got everything they needed to get and it was very easy, very seamless. And when they came out to pay, it was like no more than $200.
Yeah,
Could you
for
imagine having a broken bone? I mean, you have a
no.
hole in your bone.
It's probably better now. It's been almost 6 months. It's probably better
God, it
now.
feels like it was yesterday.
It feels like it was a long ass time ago for me. And why I say that is because, that happened, like, the week after I started my art page. I literally started my art page, and I
Oh.
was hyped to get started making art, and the dog ruined my hand. I was like, "No." Oh, oh, stretch. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, that's just one aspect where they're like, "Yeah, well, but, like, American doctors are the best, so that's why it's so expensive," and it's like, "No, bitch, it's so expensive because the fucking hospitals and the insurance companies have worked together to ensure it's expensive."
Yes. Yes. And that's the other thing. American capitalism kills. Like,
Literally. Like,
yeah.
some people can't afford to go to the doctor when they have, like, cancer and shit, so they just decide to die instead so that they don't leave their family in debt, because in this country, if you die with debt, you still have the debt and your family has to pay it. Disgusting.
Hmm.
Ugh.
In this country, if you're disabled and you're on disability, if you make like 50 cents, literally 50 cents or anything more, you will lose all your benefits. There's a couple who's fighting that right now. And it's not, and if you're married, it's not like it's your income plus their income. No, it doesn't change. You have to live according to the disabled person's income in order for them not to lose their
Yep.
services. And we talked a little bit about this before when I said I am disabled. I'm not on disability services because I did not work in it. Like a lot of my work has been under the table because and it's because of the caste system that we have here. I'm just going to start calling
Mhm.
it a caste system. Most
'Cause
of
it
my
is.
work has been under the table because I couldn't thrive, um, and I couldn't deal with how horribly I was treated in these workplaces. And it wasn't because of my work ethic or what I was doing, because I kept getting accolades, whenever we had a meeting or whatever, but I didn't get the raises. Like I was told I was doing great. They loved the work I was doing. I could show the change I was making, the
Mhm.
changes I was making, the policies I was implementing. But I didn't get the raises or the promotions. Other people were getting the raises and promotions, even though they were telling me, "Oh no, you're doing a great job." Blah 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 blah. So because of that, and because of how I was treated, they're like the casual racism. Like I took all of the. I noticed, as an example, I noticed that when I would wear a wig, a straight wig, people were so much nicer to me than when I had my natural hair. So much nicer to me.
Are
So
you
like I always,
serious?
oh yeah. I even had someone come up to me and say, "Oh my God, you look so cute with your hair like that. Like, I prefer this better." Yeah,
Okay, I've seen you in a lot of hairstyles,
you have.
and I'm gonna be honest, I prefer you with big fluffy hair because I feel like that, shines, your soul because you have such a wonderful, beautiful soul, and the big fluffy hair is like a halo of wonderfulness, which is like you. So, I
Mhm.
love it when you wear your froze, I love the curly hair when you're doing that, the locks, all of that. Gorgeous. This
Yeah,
is probably why Facebook thinks I'm black because I absolutely adore watching natural hair.
the natural hair videos
The
and stuff
natural
like that.
hair videos, I'm like, "Ah, that's so pretty and relaxing, and I love this."
There's whole YouTube channels about like natural hair and watching people do natural hair and natural hair
Yeah,
ASMR and all this other stuff. So yeah, so because of that, I left corporate and was working on my own. That's when I started working at the massage place we both worked at, like solely. But that was still corporate and they still treated us like we were products. And they started to try to do some weird shit with our tips because capitalism again. Remember how they tried to take and pull our tips or something like that?
they were doing that
Oh,
because,
oh, 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 thank you, Bertha. It's so cute. Bertha bought me apples and peanut butter to eat
that is the
while we're
best snack on
talking,
earth,
right?
so I love it so
Bertha's the
much.
best.
Bertha is the best.
Bertha's the best. Um, so yeah, because of that caste system I wasn't making, so I had to strike out on my own where I started doing massage on my own and started working as a performer. And that paid my rent and my bills. But I had to hustle though. I was performing like 3 to 4 times a week. Um, I wanted to do more massage than I was doing, but I was working with our community. I was working with queers, black and brown, disabled, elderly, and fat folk. And most often those people don't have a lot of income, so I was making my prices set so those people could come see me. And then community took notice of me, they would help me out more. Like they would give me like, oh, okay, you're doing community care, so we'll pay for this person who's an activist to get their like massage and stuff like that,
Mhm.
especially if they were on the front lines. So yeah. Yeah, it was, and I struggled, and because of that struggle, and because of not having a corporate backing to prove how much I worked, like I don't qualify for disability even though I'm disabled. Like I wouldn't get enough money to live on, and people who are disabled don't get a lot of money to live on.
Yeah, like,
Um
for people who are disabled, like, their whole life, they are living literally on a pittance where they can barely afford food,
mhm.
and in a lot of cases, they can't afford rent.
Yeah.
So, they have to be in, like, the Section 8 housing. They have to be in Section 8
Yep.
housing, and there is so few Section 8 like, the housing crisis in America is so for real, for real. Basically, we've had it so that corporations have been buying up all of the houses, and that's a large portion of why the housing costs are so high, is because the volume of houses available versus the people wanting to actually buy a house are disparate. And the houses that come up to market are often snatched up by corporations who then rent those houses out for astronomical prices, and that causes the rent in the area to go up as well. So they're basically taking away the houses that are available, and some of them are going in and, like, finding kind of slightly rundown houses, like, just, like, older houses, and then, like, fixing them up and then selling them for an astronomical profit. Um,
And we're seeing that a lot with gentrification.
yeah, and I know that because I live in a house that's from 1967, and I get letters nearly weekly of people saying, "Can I buy your house?" And I'm like, "No, bitch, I live here, leave me alone." Um I'm not gonna move, and I'm not gonna sell you the house so you can rent it to me. Fuck off. So, um,
That part.
yeah. It's like a huge problem, and it's one that's not going to get better, and it's one that I feel is affecting a lot of other places in the world, but, like, not everywhere and not as much as it's affecting here, just because of the way that our government literally does not protect us from anything, and in fact protects corporations from us. And another feature of that is, labor, and the fact that, um, people are not protected in their job. Like, tons of states, including my own, are have set up what's called right to work, which means that you can quit at any time with no penalties, you're just quitting your job. But it also
Yeah.
means your company can fire you at any time
Yeah.
for no
At
reason.
will. Mhm.
And they don't have to explain why they're firing you. They can just get the fuck rid of you, and you have no recourse for that. And a ton of states are saying, "Oh, this is a freedom for the workers, blah yada." It's not. It's literally a way for companies to do whatever the fuck they want and lay off people whenever they want to without any repercussions or penalties. The other thing that, like, I just saw a video on this today, but, like, Google has just gone full evil. I remember back in the day, they used to have "Do no evil" as one of their corporate mottos.
Oh
They
my
were
god, they lied about that.
Oh, no, they removed that, so that's not there
Oh,
anymore.
oh my
They
god, they're in their full on in their villain era.
they removed that, and for the past, like, since the beginning of the year, actually, no, I wanna say since middle of last year, they have been systematically laying off entire teams and trying to use AI for things that AI is not meant to do, like
Oh, gross.
writing documents and writing compliance documents.
What?
Yeah. They've
No,
been
fam.
they've been testing AI to see if it's gonna function for a lot of their situations, and the
Also,
Google.
so they don't have to pay people.
Yes. So, like, they got rid of
How are we supposed to live?
a lot of the managers and the people, and then, like, so in Austin, the Googlers there, um, apparently the Googlers for YouTube Music
Mhm.
were trying to unionize, and they went in front of a city council and were like, "There's 2 of us doing the job of, like, 15 people, and Google is refusing to help us, so we're trying to unionize so we can get, you know, enough stuff to do our jobs." And while telling the council this, the other Googler in the team literally came up behind him and said, "Yeah, we just got laid off. Like, our jobs are terminated as of right now." And they
Mm.
have all of this on video. Like, they have video evidence of this happening live. And the city council was just like, "Oh, okay. Um, I guess we'll look into it." Like, they do not
Yeah,
care.
because they don't wanna fuck with Google because they bring in so much money probably
Yeah.
for the town. Yeah, it's like we don't listen, like, this thing about government is such a lie because corporations own the government here.
Here, yeah, and, like,
Mhm.
the thing is, like, every time that I'm talking, like, to people that are from outside of the country, they're always shocked by how actually bad it is here,
Mhm.
because we do nothing but produce propaganda about how
Yeah,
cool the US is. So,
yeah.
like, I was in this Discord chat and literally, it's basically it's an art Discord, and there's a bunch of kids and me. And this one girl's like, "Oh, oh, no, there was a shooting at my school." She's in college, and she was safe. But, like, 2 people died, and we're sitting here going, "Holy shit, that's awful." And I was like, "Oh, no, not again." And the guy's like, "Wait, again?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, um,
This happens every week
this
here,
happens a
every other
lot.
week.
It happens a whole lot." He was like, "Why don't you guys have laws for that?" I'm like,
Oh, oh, you sweet summer
"Oh,
child.
oh, honey."
Oh, baby.
Oh, oh. And he's Canadian, so, like, it's not like he's from, like, a foreign country that doesn't know how to do like, they're Canadian. Canadians, like Canada's
Yeah,
right next to us. Canada has guns for hunting, but they don't have mass shootings. I wonder why.
right? We just Our last mass shooting was February 29th in Missouri, in Missouri. 2 people killed, 2 people injured, 1 suspect arrested. So that was that was our last
That
I
actually may
mean,
have been it because 2
oh.
people died
Mhm.
in was it at a college?
It says I can find out. I can
Yeah.
find out. I can find out. I mean, there's a website dedicated to gun violence, which all I did was type in mass shootings in the United States this week. Let's see. It's a residence. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna stop looking. A police officer and a court working worker and other workers. So this was not that was not the school.
Oh, okay. It was recent though. It was, like, in the past 2 weeks,
Yeah,
um, at a school, at college.
I can probably find it.
Yeah, she's in a different time zone than me. I know that for sure.
Was it in Georgia? You know
Mm.
what? You know what's fucked up? There's so many.
Yeah, that like,
There's
it
so
could have been
many.
any of them.
There's so fucking many. There's so many. Um, yeah, so and also this country is trying to make it illegal to be homeless.
Mhm.
Like you
And
can be
yet making
arrested
it
for
very
being
easy to get homeless.
yes. Yes. I spend a lot of my time terrified that I'm not gonna like make or generate enough income to be able to live, especially as a disabled neurodivergent baddie. Uh, I'm like, oh shit. I spend a lot of that time stressed, and it's just like, and stress is totally destroying people's health here.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
And we had one of my ex has a partner in Korea. He's black and he has a son. He's like, well, we're thinking about moving to the United States. We're always like, no,
No, please don't.
no, stay,
You won't like it.
stay in Korea. Do not, do not come here. Although North Korea is supposedly popping off right now.
Mm, God, we
North
don't need
Korea is
that.
like, we're gonna break our treaty with South Korea, and they're testing like bombs, and I think they did a nuclear bomb testing or something like that. Something extreme they're doing. So I'm just like, oh my god, no, let's not have World War III ever, ever. Let's be clear, ever. But definitely not in our lifetime. And we just bombed some people too. I just read earlier that we bombed some people this morning.
That's not surprising, of course
We're
we did.
bullies. Like, I just want to say to the rest of the world that we are bullies. America is a huge bully, and we live in the belly of the beast, and eventually someone's going to punch us in the stomach. Like, and it's
Yeah,
not, and I want to also say that it's not all the people. Like, I feel like the Fire Nation. I feel like we're the Fire Nation in Avatar Last Airbender, where it's like we were told these beautiful lies and we believed them, and that's why we did what we did. Like, we really thought we were bringing beauty and culture to the world, and
yeah,
all of that stuff is just a colonialist mindset. Like, the colonialist mindset is part of what is the foundation of America, and that colonial mindset is that I'm right, you're wrong. We have to Everybody else who's wrong is a savage. We have to tame them, like we have to destroy them if they're not switchable. Um and us before anyone else. There's no room for working together with someone outside your culture. And American culture has tried to erase the culture of other people. Like when you come here, it's really, or when you live here, it's all about assimilation.
yeah, 100%.
All about assimilation. And that's not freedom.
It's not.
That's not freedom. Assimilation is not freedom. What's that movie where they had that gun fu?
The, God, with the priests, right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
god. I'm looking that up right now
Oh, I
because
love
I know what you're
Christian
talking about.
Bale. Christian Bale drooling. Yeah, that's what it.
Equilibrium. Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
Oh my god, I
Equilibrium.
so my Google fu is very strong, I can find stuff pretty quickly. I fought with Google for literally an hour trying to find this comic that I knew when I was younger, and I still have not found it. I had to ask Reddit, and I still don't know what's going on because I doubt that they're gonna answer me.
Hmm.
But, oh my god, because it was such a funny comic. It was about this, um her name was something lady, and her, like, tagline was "Clouding the hearts of men," like, with her, like, cute jiggly boobs or her, like, cute ass, and I'm like, "I need to find what this is." It was a late '90s comic, and I fucking had all of them because I thought it was hilarious, and I wanna read it again, and I don't know what it's called, and it's driving me up a wall.
Oh
'Cause I'm
no.
terrible with names, I'm terrible with names. Terrible with names. Ugh. But usually I can find something in, like, 2 seconds
Mhm.
because I
You
know
found an
how to search
anime that
for
I was
things.
looking for forever
Yeah, I've done that
with the
several times
angels.
for other
Yeah.
people. They, like, described it to me in, like, 3 words, and this one I'm like, I can't find it because 'cause I'm like, "Devil lady? Um, dark lady?" I don't know what it's called. I'm having such
Oh
a problem with it,
no.
yeah. I
You'll
even
find it, friend.
asked Erica, I was like, "Do you remember this? We read it in high school," and she's like, "Girl, no. That thing is old as hell, I don't remember that." I was like,
Mm,
"Yeah, I figured. It's fine.
mm, mm.
I'll find it later, I guess. Boo-hoo."
So yeah, American exceptionalism is all a lie of propaganda. We are awful. We are bullies. We have some amazing people who are living here, but our government that speaks for us is awful. Our court system, like we aren't really educated on what our vote means and what our court and what our government and how we can interact with our government. Like we were never taught that. We're like Catholics when it comes to that. And by that I mean they give you a missalette and tell you certain things, but they never tell you how to read the Bible.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
and that's what happens with our educational system, especially also when we talk about government. Like I went through my whole civics class, didn't really learn anything. They didn't tell me that my local government things were super important. They taught me like, oh, your most powerful vote is your vote for president, which is not the most powerful vote you have. There's a whole ass Senate, there's a whole ass House, there's local government, which can affect higher up government. Like it's it's propaganda. The exceptionalism or the idea of sexual exceptionalism, it is all propaganda. It's smoke and mirrors. The American dream is not accessible to everyone. And if you're going to come here from another country, like definitely do your research. Talk to Americans. Don't just talk to like cishet white Americans either. Talk to queer and
Mhm.
trans Americans. Talk to black and brown Americans. Talk to disabled Americans. Like and yeah, talk to people who are students in school or dealing with student debt. Like talk to those Americans and really, 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 really think about like what you want to happen. I will say one of the things that has like I guess one of the privileges is that we don't we're the biggest bully on the continent in which we live.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. We have actively tried to fuck up South America for the past 60
Mhm.
plus years. Like,
Yeah.
I fully believe, most of the issues that have happened in Colombia and
Oh yeah,
a
for sure.
bunch of the other places down
It's
there
been
are our fault.
documented. Mhm.
1000%. It's the CIA. The CIA did it.
Yep. It's awful. So yeah, that's exceptionalism. I feel like I've said all I have to say about exceptionalism. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm good with it. I mean, I'm not good with it, but I mean, I think I'm good with
Yeah.
what we've talked about so far. I think that that's a good
Mhm.
assessment in terms of just like we're not okay.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, I know. Americans are
just
not okay.
we're not
Americans are
okay.
not okay. We're not okay. We're blinking. We're blinking.
We're yeah, please, please. Um, yeah, so we can kind of get into, the male gaze versus the female gaze if you we have time now, because again, like, we've talked about this before in terms of, like simping. because we've looked at Jujutsu Kaisen has been one of the more recent ones that they are clearly gearing a lot of the male characters to the female gaze, because the way that they bulked some of them up in ways that they did not have in the manga was, 1, appreciated, and 2, like, a lot of the guys were like, "I don't get it. Why is this so different?" And we're all like, "Shut up. We're buying the merch." They know how to make money, that's how. But, like, you can see that the way that they were gearing it towards the female gaze was by making them, like, adding different aspects to them that were manly in the way that women wanna see. It wasn't in, like, the wrestler style, because that's not how they were bulking them up. They were making them thicker in other ways. Um
The Nami had an ass. The Nami had ass and yams, and I appreciated. The pants were tight. Everything was tight. The shirt was tight. The pants was tight. Like, and he wrapped that tie around his hand. Like, that
His
was
hands
tight.
were veiny, it was perfect.
His arm. Oh shit. His neck. Like,
Uh-huh.
it was real good. They did some good work. Not
And the
just
thing is,
with.
like, with Gojo, they didn't need to bulk him. He was manlier than the last season in a different way, because his
Mhm.
lanky ass isn't gonna get bulked until later. Just wait. He's gonna come out of that box swinging. Like, "What kind of prison were you in?" Anyway,
Mm,
he, um he was manlier in his mannerisms.
mhm.
'Cause, like, in season 1, they heavily leaned on him being goofy until
Yep.
he had to, like, murder, but in this one, because it was serious right out the gate, he, like Fe Feral Gojo was a very special breed of Gojo.
Oh my god. Like, that's the Gojo I'm attracted to. That's the Gojo I'm attracted to right there. Right there. Also, that switch pace. I love the switch between goofy and serious. There's something about it that just does something for me. Um, yeah, does something for me. But they also had these qualities that were like, with Gojo was like, I'm taking care of the kids. Nanami was definitely taking care of the kids.
Mhm.
And also being like, you're a lady and I'm gonna treat you like a lady. Like that kind of whole situation. And yeah, I think they did a great job. They had like Yuji, remember the fat girl? Like, right? That
Yeah,
wasn't in
and
the
but the thing is he didn't
manga, right?
remember her. It was in the manga.
It
Again,
was.
that side story was actually in the manga. I was just mad that they kept it in there just to make you love Yuji, to watch him be destroyed for, like, 12 more episodes. 'Cause, like, what I loved about that is, like, Yuji is such a bean. I love him so much, and, like, he didn't even remember her as the fat girl. He was just like, "Oh, yeah, I remember you.
Hmm.
You were
Yeah,
cool, and you
that's
liked the
that's the
same
other
things I
part of
did."
it. He
Yeah.
remembered her as her. Like, it was so cool. It was just so nice to see. And he didn't say anything about her shape changing either.
He didn't. He was just, and he recognized her immediately,
Hmm.
which made her kind of cry, because that means that he was looking at her. He was seeing her fully without bias. So,
Hmm.
of course, he would have recognized her, because he was looking into her eyes, he was looking at her face, he was, looking at who she was as a person.
Yeah.
God, I
Yeah.
love you so much. Um And the thing that we've been pointing out with, like, the way that, the men have been angry about the girls getting thirsty over Jujutsu Kaisen and some of these other shows, and they also get really mad whenever, the men are shipped together. Like, the volume of people angry about Satosugu, I cannot. I'm like, "It's basically canon, y'all, shut the fuck up." Oh,
Yeah.
and what's hilarious is they're not fighting about whether Geto can be gay or not, they're fighting about whether Gojo is, and it's because all of the men love Gojo. And, like, they need him to be straight for some reason, and meanwhile, the rest of us are like, "Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Gojo's a bottom."
Yeah. 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 A slut and a bottom. Like, we're pretty sure that you know what? I could see Gojo getting anything he wanted. Like if
Yeah,
it's
no,
walking,
I
breathing,
think
talking,
I
he would.
I think Gojo's pan, but I think with Geto specifically,
Uh-huh.
he was getting it. He was
Mhm.
he was getting it.
They're so adorable.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a fan art of them
What
soon.
murder?
Yeah, right? I have the reference I'm gonna use for it too already, and it's one guy sitting on another guy in an office chair making out with him, and I'm gonna make it them instead, and it's going
Nice.
to drive me insane because I'm very mentally ill about them. So, like,
Let me
they're
tell
not
you, it took Wachung to get me off of Gojo's dick. Like, but he got me there. I had to monkey bar it. I had to like switch from one to another. There's no space in between. I had my hand on Gojo while I swung over to Wachung, and now I'm like, Wachung, okay. And I gotta find my next one. I gotta find my next bay. I gotta find my next bay. I'm gonna find them. And it's gonna be great. But yeah, beautiful.
beautiful.
I wanna revisit JJK slower. Like I wanna take in like 2 or 3 episodes a day until I finish it so I can finish it again so I can really get up in those fight sequences. But it's my feelings are still too hurt about shit that happened, so I
My
can't yet.
feelings are so hurt. Like, and, like, the thing is, what's funny is, like, I wanna watch it again, but, like, I wanna make Kurt watch it with me, but he knows how much I was upset about it, so he's like, "I don't wanna I don't know if I wanna do that. It seems kind of bad." I'm like, "It is, but we're gonna watch it." He's like,
It is, but we're gonna
are
do it.
you sure? Are you okay about it?" I'm okay about it.
I'm
Um,
gonna be all right.
I'm gonna be alright. Um, but, like, a lot of the girls that are being simped over by men are different. A lot of them are really young, have giant titties. There are a few where they have giant titties and they're older, which, like, I'm better about those. But,
Mhm.
like, it's the ones where, like, for some reason, these anime keep coming out with, like, 14-year-olds with giant knockers, and I'm just like,
Yep.
why are you doing this?" I'm looking
Mhm.
at I'm staring at SAO specifically. I'm still so mad about his cousin. I'm, like, so mad about his
I
cousin.
don't remember.
So, season 2 specifically, his sister that he lives with, you find out she's actually his cousin, but she's in love with him, okay? And
I
she's
just typed in
14
SAO
and has
cousin
massive
in the
titties.
I typed in SAO cousin and one of the choices was SAO cousin love.
Mhm. Yeah, no, she's madly in love with him. That's a plot point. Season 2 is a disaster.
Wait, she looks 10.
She is 14, and he's, like, 16, so it's not like he's, like
Oh, I see an older picture of her. Oh my god. They kiss?
Yeah, of course they do. How like, d did do you remember the assault scene at the end of the season?
No, I do not. It's been so long since I watched it. I have to watch it again, I guess.
This is why I'm like, "No, SAO's trash." Like, 1st season was okay. it had some problems, but, like, of all the seasons, that one and Gun Gale were the best. Gun Gale was the gun one, but the gun one has issues as well. Um, but, like, the 2nd season is just trash nonstop. It is nonstop trash. His girlfriend gets kidnapped by basically a pedo who's going to marry her because her dad sold her off, and he traps her in the game, and basically at the end of the show assaults her for trying to leave until Kirito comes, like, out of the woodwork and, like, murders him, basically. Um, but yeah, no, there's a whole subplot of him and his cousin being madly in love with him and him, like, not noticing the whole time.
Wait, is this the one he ends up getting the cottage with?
No, that's not his cousin, that's his girlfriend. His girl that's the one who gets
Okay,
kidnapped.
okay, because I'm like, I thought he had a girlfriend.
Yeah, no, the girlfriend gets kidnapped. That's what I was talking about.
Cause she's, cause she's, what
She's
is
like
her?
the she was
She
like the
was like
daughter.
rare or something according to them.
Yes.
And they didn't just kidnap her. They were gonna traffic her, weren't they?
No, he was going to take her specifically for himself,
You know what?
the
I'm
evil
thinking
guy.
about I'm thinking about Attack on Titan.
Oh, yeah, I have no reference for that, I haven't seen that one yet.
Am I thinking about Attack on Titan or Sword Art Online? I'm thinking about one of them. I gotta. No, that didn't happen on that. They were gonna. No, it wasn't Sword Art Online. It was another one. He killed everybody in the house because she got kidnapped and he went and killed everybody. I think it is Attack on Titan. Never mind. I'm thinking about Attack on Titan.
The fact that this plot point is so common that we're getting confused is a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot, is all I'm saying.
I feel like I love us getting like what you refer to as these soft boys. I feel like that's also part of the female gaze. Cause the one in the cafe, Butte Story,
Yotsuro Biori.
Yutsuru Biori. All those men could get it. All of them could get it. Cause they're just so fucking gentle and so sweet. Like, oh, I am, I am loving it. Um, So I don't think it's just how they're drawing them physically, which they are. They're giving us grown ass men, which is lovely. But I
Mhm.
think it's also the traits that they have as well.
Mm, that's
They're not just all
true.
there to be strong.
That's true, and, like, the thing is, like, there are a lot of tsundere protagonists that get attention from femmes, and by that I mean, like, the Rei types and the protag-kun
Pepperay.
for, Yamada-kun at level 999 is like that. He's very kind of stoic, he's a gamer, he doesn't understand human interaction, basically, but, like, when he falls for her, you're gonna lose your mind. I lost my mind. When the confession scene, Jesus Christ. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna
Ooh, so
watch
I
that
have to
one.
watch it.
You're gonna like it a lot. We're gonna watch that one. It's super good. It's like it's beyond super good, actually.
All right, cool. Because I think at one point before it was on the list or before I knew it was on the list, I think it's one of those ones you're like, you can watch this instead of watching new shit.
Yeah,
You can watch
right?
this too.
But then I
So
realized you were just going to ignore me, so I added it to the list so that we could watch it together.
oh my god. Yeah. I just started looking over at the manga shelf, which is basically manga that you've given me. And I love it. I love it because I'm looking at that and like almost, I think every single thing on this shelf is queer in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything you've given me has been queer, and I love it.
I do nothing but
And then
peddle
there's
queer shit.
and then there's one for Dracula. There's a vampire one, but instead of what is it? What is that character's name? The one who, I think it starts with the M, but the one who Dracula goes after first, not the one that reminds him of his boo, but the one he goes after first. I think her name starts with
Marie?
the M. Is it Marie?
I know there's a Marie involved.
It might be. I'm not sure. But that's played by a guy.
Oh. Oh.
Sometimes he presents as male, sometimes he presents as fluid.
Mhm.
But he has no, I think that's a lie. I think this character is gender queer or gender fluid because sometimes at night he likes to put on a nightgown. So they may be queer. Um so yeah, so even that one's fucking queer. I gotta type this in real quick. My family members picking up my Target order. Target.
Target.
Boop boop boop. And here they go. Thank you. Um, yeah, and I love that they're starting to there's a few reasons why I love it. That they're starting to gear things towards the female gaze. Uh I love that I'm getting quality fantasy men that I can be attracted to. But I also love that they're recognizing just how many non-men they have watching anime.
Yes, finally.
Final fuckingly. It's like, and that we're valuable to their watcher base, so they should give us stuff we want to watch.
They
They
should
should give
because
us.
we spend so much money on the
Mhm.
merch for these things. We spend so much I'm just like I'm remembering how much money I spent on the statue that I got of Nanami that I still have no idea when it's gonna come. Um,
But I think that's also one of the reasons why I'm liking. I need to start watching again. But Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead,
mhm.
like we have male characters who talk about their feelings. I love it when people talk about their feelings because I'm often in mine and listening to people talk about their feelings gets me out of it.
Yeah. Also, like, I feel like in general, anime does that a lot better than a lot of the older Western media that we've, like, grew up with
Mhm.
and stuff like that. I think newer Western media has almost taken cues from the way that Eastern media does stuff because a lot of the newer shows are actually getting more into that.
Oh, shit. That reminds me. That reminds me. That's how I got addicted to K-drama. When I
K-drama's really
first
good
time I
for that.
watched, yeah, the first time I watched the K-drama and this dude cried, he just cried like just tears rolling out his eye. He's standing there and a tear rolls out or some shit. Or they talk about their back. That was like, I'm hooked. You didn't show me grown men crying. I'm on you. I'm on your dick. I'm riding it all the way till dawn. It's great. I'm here for it. Give me more. Fill me up, as Shalian would say. So, yeah, I think I haven't seen anything really from Western media in such a long time. Like, so I have no way to judge that, or I have nothing to hold it against, because for I think a few years now, all of my media has been Eastern media, or specifically queer media, because I
Yeah.
don't want to see. God, this is gonna sound so weird. I don't want to see these depictions of cis het dudes fucking over everybody else and getting away with it and having that normalized.
Yes. That's for sure. Yeah. 100% I can see that.
So I
Um,
avoided that. Um, and I think that's why I'm also like, but also I'm Neptunic, right? So, and for those who don't know what Neptunic means, is people who are attracted to women, feminine non-binary individuals, and neutral non-binary individuals. Um, yeah. And I'm gonna add, or masculine non-binary individuals as well. But
mhm.
like cis men, I'm good. I'm good. I would be, but like I get scared. So to see softer sides of men presented in media,
Mhm.
not only helps me, but it also helps all the other men in society who are trying to get over the um like the trauma cycle they've been put into in order to appear masculine, in order to appear like men. Like all of the brainwashing, like all of the not being allowed their own tears and softness or access to their feminine side. Like that is rough. I know when I gained access to my masculine side, I was like, "Ooh, this is nice." So I can't imagine not having or being shamed for access to your feminine side.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope what I'm saying is making sense. I am so very high, y'all.
It's totally making sense.
So very high. So yeah, female gaze, masculine gaze. I wish I just okay. So I watch porn. I watch porn. I watch I watch less porn than I used to watch now, but I could tell when a scene was directed by a man. I could tell when this is whole thing is directed by a man versus um like scenes that were made for women specifically. And I
Mhm.
love that on the place where I watch my porn, which is Hamster XXX or XSX Hamster. Shout out to hamster porn. No, not hamster.
Oh my god. Okay, 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 okay.
I didn't mean it like that. Okay. So there's a whole section that will say porn for women. And I normally check that out and it's good. And what I found in the porn for women mostly is like either it is just totally wild or people are laughing or giggling. The
Mhm.
bodies are not necessarily like perfect according to how women's bodies are fetishized. There's more chance to run across a bisexual situation that's not like two guys and one girl, but not two girls and one guy, but two guys and one girl. Like, it's just, It's great. It's relaxing. It makes me like, it turns me on, but it also makes me like, oh, this is cute. This is this is cute. This is adorable. Look at people having fun, connecting, laughing, and making eye contact. This is
Right?
great. This is great. And that was made for anyone like outside of the male gaze. But when I watch oh God, there needs to be more porn out of the female gaze because I have had sex with men and I could tell when they've watched porn, when all they've done is watch porn. Because I end up
Mm,
jackhammered. Like,
yeah.
I end up fucking jackhammered pretzel. And that's not where I want to be. Rotate. Jesus. Do more than use your dick. Like, sex doesn't begin and end with the penis. Feelings. I have so many feelings when it comes to how the male gaze has educated both all genders on
Yeah, because it definitely
yeah.
affects the way that a lot of what we were trained as femmes was, how is the male gaze going to affect you? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
How's it gonna make
It
you
was
not safe?
'cause how is it gonna make you not safe, or how do you change yourself to be more attractive to the male gaze? Because
Ooh, you're
something
right.
that I got drilled into me by my mom is, "Don't do this, men won't like it. Don't do this, men won't like it. Don't wear heels, you're too tall, men won't like it." And I'm like, as an adult now, I'm like, "Well, that's a lie."
Mhm.
I guarantee you that one right there is a lie.
Let me tell you, there's a man somewhere who wants to scale you like a fucking mountain. Like that.
Exactly. No, I've had
That's
like, there was this guy obsessed with me in college, and he was, like, nearly a foot shorter than me, and he was obsessed, and I
mhm.
know if I wore heels, he would have been, like, passed out.
Done.
Passed
Done.
out, exactly. Oh my god. Yeah, so fun. So fun.
And you can't make yourself, or it takes a lot of work to make yourself into something somebody else wants to see instead of what you naturally are. But you're
Mhm.
right about being told men won't like this, da da da, blah blah. I remember that I used to make a strange sound where I was like itching the back of my throat.
Mhm.
And you probably heard me make this sound because I feel safe and comfortable around you. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do it over the microphone, but I'm sure you've heard me make this sound.
Yes, I know what
Um,
you're talking about.
and my aunt would tell me, "Ain't no man gonna watch you if you make that noise. Ain't no man gonna." She told me constantly, "Ain't no man gonna watch you make this noise." And one day I turned around to her and said, "If he ain't gonna be with me because I make this noise, then he shouldn't be with me." I was like 16, 15. I was like, "He shouldn't be with me. I don't want to be with him if he ain't okay with this noise. Then how about that? How
Right?
about that? I don't want him neither. How about that?" She had nothing to say, and I think that's because we're educated under the male gaze that um men are everything and we should only be trying to please them, and that's what's going to guarantee us a safe and prosperous life.
Right. Like, we have to figure out how to fit in the specific mold that is going to make men happy or else.
Yep.
And so the male gaze, that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. So that's because the other thing that we were talking about was like that I was thinking about like in terms of this topic was lesbians.
Mhm.
So a lot of people are like, you know, hey, I hate getting looked at in a salacious way by men if I go out, but if women look at me, I'm excited, and I don't really care if she wants to have sex with me or not. And the reason for that is because If a man looks at you in a certain way that is predatory, you feel unsafe. But if a
Mhm.
woman looks at you in a way that is predatory, you don't feel unsafe because the likelihood of her assaulting you is pretty low.
Yeah, or crossing your boundaries in
Yeah.
any way. I will say this fucking dyke, this butch ass lesbian, pulled my hair once
What?
because I wasn't paying attention to her. She walked by me and grabbed my fucking ponytail. And I want to say, when I say the word dyke, I never mean it as a derogatory term. I also probably, like, most definitely mean it as a leather dyke. Like, and when I say leather, I realize I have to explain everything. When I say leather, I mean leather community. I mean kinky people.
That sigh. Oh, I have to explain everything. Like, oh, I forgot that straight people listen to this too. Okay, so oh my god.
So yeah, she pulled my hair, but of that's the only instance in which I've had someone queer, a queer person who identifies as a woman, do something inappropriate. Now I have had straight women slap my ass while I'm naked on stage.
Really?
Yeah, straight women and gay men. I was once go-go dancing on top of a box and looked down, and this like gay boy had his head under my skirt. Trash. And you know
What?
how I'm about underwear. Like
Yeah.
I always wear this shit. Um, but for the most part, when a woman looks at me or someone who's a non-male, I feel like, oh, you looking like I tee hee and run the fuck away. But I'm not running because I'm scared. I'm running because I'm like, oh my God, I can't take the heat. And they're brilliant and they're beautiful and they're this and they're that. They can't be looking
Mhm.
at me. What are they looking at me? Like, what do I have to say? Like, am I And then I get overwhelmed and I run away, much like Shailene, who I
Mhm.
identify with.
I think it's in terms of the weight of expectation.
Exactly.
So, like, when you are being looked at with someone expecting something from you, you feel that
hmm
gaze harder than you would by someone who doesn't expect things, they're just enjoying the way that you look. Do you see you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Like it's like someone's looking at you and they appreciating what your mama made. They're
Mhm.
appreciating it. Um, but also appreciating the way you would appreciate a beautiful museum piece. You don't go touch it.
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You don't go touch it.
1000%.
You don't go grab it off the fucking wall. Like at least not without permission. And again, I will say I have had circumstances that has been the opposite of that, but I will tell you, even with that, um, it's the ratios aren't the same. Like I was at a fucking gas station filling up my car when this dude approached me and he had a 5-gallon water bottle with him. It wasn't full, it was empty. I don't know why the fuck he had this water bottle with him, but he had a 5-gallon water bottle. And he's like, hey, I find you like attractive, little mama. Like, do you want to like do you want to like come out with me for dinner? And at this point, I mean, I was tired. I don't know who I was fucking, but I had like a few people on my bedroom notch list. I didn't need to add one more. That's one more person.
And, like, who approaches somebody at a gas station?
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was.
honestly, like, more power to him, but at the same time, like, I would be very nervous because a gas station's kind of one of those places where you're stuck because 'cause you're literally putting
Yes,
something in your car. So, there's nowhere for you to go and be like, "I have
nowhere.
to leave now." No, you have literally a dangerous fluid going into your car. Where the fuck are you gonna go?
Yes, yes. And so I communicated with him that I was flattered, but I wasn't taking applications. And I hope he has a beautiful, nice, and blessed day.
Mhm.
His next words were, "Ooh, I almost hit you upside your head with this water bottle." And I said, "That's okay. I feel unsafe. That's not okay. I feel unsafe. I need
Mhm,
you to back
mhm.
away from me now." And
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, well, I
obviously.
don't want to make you feel unsafe. I didn't mean to make you feel unsafe with that." I was like, "You
You
just
just
told me
said
that
you
you were
were
going
about
to
to hit
assault
me.
me."
What the hell? Oh
I'm like,
my
"I need you to back
god.
away." And he wouldn't back away, he kept trying to explain himself. So I had to go in to the fucking gas station. Thank God it was there. And thank God I was there during the day.
Yeah.
And so the manager came out and he was like, "You need to leave." And he stayed with me until I finished pumping my gas. And then I got in my car. But then I was also afraid that he would fucking follow me.
Right.
So then I just drove around for like 45 minutes until I felt safe to go home.
Yeah.
I ain't worried about that when a woman approaches me. I ain't worried about that when a
Never.
non-binary approaches me.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
worried about that when my trans family approach me.
honestly, that's one of the reasons why I wish I looked queer because I want to read as safe, and I'm clearly a white woman, which for some people is not safe. You know what I mean? Like,
Hey,
for
listen, I
most
know what you
people,
mean.
yes, kind of safe, but at the same time, like, borderline not safe. So, I'm like, I need to figure out how to look gayer so that I read as safer to people
Hmm.
because I feel like, I could do better. I could do better.
And the
Oh
way
my god.
the way I relate to it is I have to do the opposite for white people. So like I have to
Mm,
make myself look safe. And I love these hair colors that you see me wear. I love the pink.
mhm.
I love the blue. I love the purple. At one point it was green. Um,
Yeah, that
but
teal is gorgeous on you.
isn't it?
Yes.
So good. It's so fucking god. Oh my.
Aw.
But I noticed that when I had it on, like like okay, so I lived in this place called Grass Valley for like 2 years. And Grass Valley is a blue bubble surrounded by red. But people walk around there with Confederate flag hoodies and jackets on. Everybody owns several guns. And you can see a few Make America Great hats on. Like that's where
Mm,
I used to live, okay?
yeah.
For a very short period of time, for 2 years. Whenever I wore my brightly colored hair, like people would just be like, "Oh my god. Oh my god." And they would approach me with smiles on their faces and all this stuff cuz the blue hair was like, "Oh, this is not one of those black people. This is a quirky black person." Like I can that was what was happening. When I had
Wow.
my natural hair, it was
They were
like
like, "I
it
don't
was
know."
fucking crickets. I don't
Wow.
know about that one. I don't
Yeah.
know. But also I wore the color hair because performing, I was a performer. I liked the way it looked. And also it help people identify me as a queer, uh, instead of ways because most often I feel like queer, if you are uh like assigned female at birth or femme or the people expect you to be femme, I think they expect queerness to look more masculine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not being able to be androgynous enough my whole life has been a bane to me. Even in high school, I wanted to be
Oh.
androgynous. I wanted to be androgynous so bad, but my hips wouldn't let me. I bought a suit, it didn't look right.
Oh.
It didn't look right because I got hips. I was so upset, I was so upset. And yet I didn't realize how queer I was. I was like, "This is normal." But wanting to be as androgynous as possible is totally normal.
Mm.
If only I could talk to little me. If only I
What
could
would you
talk to little
say?
me. I would just tell them, I'm like, "Okay, look, hun, all of these things that you're thinking, they're fine, they're normal, but you're totally non-binary, and you need to embrace that and allow yourself to, yeah, live that androgynous life. Do it, do it. Keep your hair short. Keep your hair short, doesn't matter."
You look so adorable in high school.
Right? I'm like, "Oh, look at the queer baby." Who did not know.
Aw, my onboarding thing just got canceled.
What onboarding thing?
So I got a job.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah. I was supposed to be onboarded today.
Oh, so they moved it to a different day?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Onboarding on the weekend's kind of weird, but okay.
Well, here's the thing. Let's send this in. So it would be weird, and it is kind of weird, but I'm going to be project manager for a disabled disability festival.
Mhm.
And the people who hired me to be the project manager of this festival are one is disabled, and the other one works for disabled community, and they both work full-time jobs. So it's easier to meet with them on the weekend than it
Oh,
is
that
during the
makes
week.
sense. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
That does make sense a lot. Okay.
But I'm just sad because I'm like, click, 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 so I could clock these hours and make some money.
Right. Well, you'll make money
I
tomorrow
gotta be in
then.
my bag. Okay, that's true. I gotta get in my
You can
bag.
you can make money tomorrow. It's okay.
That's true. And I am high, so.
Speaking of that, I'm hungry,
Oh,
and
you should go eat. We've been talking for like 2 hours.
we've hit the 2-hour mark, and we talked a lot about a lot of stuff. It was good.
We
I'm
did.
glad that we
I
did.
feel like I want to continue our conversation again about the male gaze versus female gaze, and we should revisit that again. I didn't
Like,
even realize I was
I
going to talk
feel
about
like
porn today.
I feel like that's a well we can keep going back to. It's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
In terms of analysis and, like, how deep we can get into analysis for it.
Mhm. All right. This has been us. And before we leave, Carta, is there anything you want to say?
Um,
Any offering of words or insights?
yeah, just go with your heart and also do your research before you go to another country.
Yeah.
There's a reason some countries have, like, warnings about our country. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do your research. It's all good. It's all good.
Mine would be um be aware of stories again. What stories you're telling yourself, what stories you're hearing. And for a culture, if you're here in America for sure, I don't know what it's like in other cultures, but invest in finding out and employing and strengthening critical thinking skills. They took critical thinking skills out of our school. They just taught us to give the right answer. They taught us the math should look a certain way, that when we read books, we should think a certain way, or this is what we should get from them. No, hone your critical thinking skills so that you learn how to think. And that way you can think for yourself. So when you get information, you could tell whether it is alignment with yourself, or you can look for further information and not just accept that information. And you can know what's right for you. Hone your
Yeah.
critical thinking skills. Like, and one of the ways in which I found has been very helpful to honing my critical thinking skills is reading a lot, getting in other people's brains.
Reading
Um,
is fundamental.
Fundamental butterfly in the sky, fly twice as high.
Take a look.
Okay,
It's in a book. It's reading
reading
rainbow.
rainbow, reading rainbow,
I can do anything.
anything.
We
Oh my
probably
God,
shouldn't
LeVar,
finish the song.
right? Oh
We
yeah,
won't be able to
we
put this on YouTube.
won't be able to put it up. Oh my God. LeVar Burton got fine. I mean, he was always like cute, but he didn't got fucking fine with his gray hair. Whew.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, he did.
yes,
He aged like
read
fine
me a book.
wine.
Mm. Okay, well, this has been Witchy Shit and Manga Lit with Cardibus and Rawia. We
We'll
will
see
see.
you next time. Bye.